All right, friends, we are live on YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and share our store for the evening. Okay. We'll start. These are the days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain together. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared for nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's so good to see the faces of those joining us on Zoom, and Shabbat Shalom to anyone who's watching on YouTube or watching in the future. We'll continue by kindling the lights of Shabbat, and I want to invite Gail. I'll highlight as she lights Shabbat candles for us. And Gail, if you'll start, yeah.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We bring Shabbat in with so many of our senses, first seeing the lights of the candle and tasting the sweetness of our Shabbos wine or grape juice. If you have any fruit of the vine at home, I invite you to take it and join us in our blessing, and we'll rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pori hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'atzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron le'maaseh b'reishit ki hu yom tehillah Lemikra kodesh zecher tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'charta yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava v'ratzon Hinhatanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. You can be seated. We continue with these words welcoming Shabbat, Lecha Dodi, melody that should be familiar from last week that we'll keep playing with a little bit more in the next couple weeks. We rise and greet Shabbat facing the door. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We've beautifully and energetically greeted Shabbat this evening. So now I'll invite you, go ahead and greet each other. If you want to say hey in the chat, tell us who all is with you if it's other than folks on your Zoom screen. And if you are joining from somewhere exotic, not Brooklyn, not that Brooklyn isn't very exotic, but if you're joining from somewhere else, tell us where are you tuning in from. So friends, we'll continue our Baruch Hu, our call to prayer Apologies for having us sit right away because I'm going to invite us again to stand if we are able. We'll read together Ma'ariv Aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name, ever-living God. May you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Our Ahavat Olam prayer, our prayer about great unbounding love. This word Olam is a word that means world. And it also has to do with something everlasting or something so big that we can't necessarily quantify it. And so we are talking about a boundless love, the love that the divine chose for us. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Can be seated and join together chanting V'ahavta. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, וחיו תותפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot together, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. We're gonna start with a little nigun, some yai lai lais. Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Adonai. Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? One more time. Anytime we come to our evening, we think about the darkness in our world, the literal darkness as the sun goes down, our official sign that Shabbat has arrived, and the symbolic darkness, the darkness that exists in life, things that make us feel a little bit gloomier, a little bit darker. But one of the oldest prayers written down in the first compiled Sidurim was Hashkivenu, an acknowledgement that, yes, with darkness, with night brings uncertainty, but we pray for a shelter, a Sukkat Shalom, a shelter of peace over us and over all people. So we'll read together in English. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel for your name's sake. Be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and our coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom, alinu v'al kol amo Israel ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen. Vishamru, B'nai Yisrael, the people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, not only a covenant, but a valued day of rest, of reflection, this time when we get to just be as a community, stepping back from whatever happened in the week that's gone by, looking forward to the week that's coming and all of the possibilities. Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. B'nai Yisrael, Odi le'olam. Tishamru b'nai Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz. Tishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi, Shabbat vaynafash, Shabbat vaynafash, Shabbat vaynafash. Tishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Tishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. We rise for our tefillah. Adonai sefatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיה כל את הרב להושיע מוריד הטל מחכה חיים בחסד מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשם נעפר מחנוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך מלך ממיש ומחיה ומצליח ישועה נאמן אתה להחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך הסלע ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We can be seated. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. So friends, we now come to our hoda'ah, our blessing for gratitude and thanksgiving. And so if there's anything that you are feeling grateful for tonight that you want to name so that our community can share in one another's blessings, I would invite you, if you want to, unmute and I can call on you to share so that we can actually hear each other's voices, not just me. And if you don't feel comfortable unmuting, but also want to share, you can use our chat function at the bottom. I hear somebody. Mona.
Hello from sunny California. I hope everybody is well. I'm very grateful that I've had a wonderful week in California with my children and grandchildren. And I say hello to everybody and hope you have a good Shabbos.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Diane, I see you're unmuted.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I am grateful that it was a week of peace and harmony. And when you're living with somebody for 71 years, that is a real blessing. Thank you.
Was there a significance did 71 years just happen?
Oh, no.
Okay,
no,
okay.
No.
Just that's special in and of itself.
Just there, yes.
Charlotte says she's grateful for friendship. Rob for lower temperatures. Karen grateful for her daughter's upcoming wedding next week. Oh, Mazel Tov. All right, Linda.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'm very grateful that to date, I have escaped COVID. It's one day at a time. I'm grateful for family, for friends. I saw my 8-month-old great niece for the second time. So that was beautiful. And I'm just glad I'm getting to see people before, we might not be able to get together again for a little while. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thanks, Linda. Gail and Bob said, beautiful yoga classes and wonderful harvest tomatoes. Wow. All right. Anybody else want to share anything else we're feeling grateful for? Well, I'm grateful as always for the technology that allows us to connect and be together and form community in new and different configurations every week to be able to be with one another. So friends, I want to invite us to take a few moments for our own silent prayers, the words of your heart, the meditations that are held deep within you, and we'll join back together singing Yehi L'Ratzon, which I'll share. So at this time, we take a moment to think of those in our community in need of healing. If there is anyone that you are thinking of that could use a little healing of mind, of body, of spirit, whatever it is, I would invite you to unmute and share their names aloud with us, or share them in our chats after I read from our Mishaberach list. So this week, our Beshert community is sending healing prayers for Jesse Sakharoff, Ira Weiss, Elaine Drucker, Allison Plummer, Patty Ann Cubero, Ellen Belofsky, Rabbi Daryl Lerner, Susan Sisler, Alan Freemer, George Landberg, Susan Balecki, Dana Haitkin Nelson, Fran Arnowitz, Arlene Rosenthal, Michael Luck, Randall Rose, Barbara Weiner, Andy Glantzman, Amy Juskowitz Soonseller, Ira and Deanna Roth, Roz Borenstein, Ingrid Grosso, Audrey Cohen, Eddie DeAngelis, Ira Goldman, Vicky Lightmaker, Sarah Brooks Kamen, Nettie Trommer, Mia Gannon, Jeff Abel, Roz Solomon, Linda Kushner Silverman, Monica Beyer, Patty and Erwin Cohen, Judge Milton Platt, Thea Platt Glasser, Sandra and Jay Pastor, Mitchell Pastor, Laura Stanley, Roberta Hyrath, Elaine Sarfati, Richard Zagam, David Mouser, Hannah Paynes, Stuart Armstrong, Margot Zitten, Cindy Ritagliata, Gary Papierman, Elliot Drucker, Ted and Albert Galerntner, Rosa Gordon, Sarah Braver, Claire Semmel, James Scarpula, Norman Steinberg, Kennedy O'Brien, Myra Jacobson. For those names added in our chat, Jess Brody, Lori Zero, Eric and Monique Musel, I hope I pronounced that right, Linda Feller, Jackson and Tara Kushner, David Gershon, Shelley Samet, Stephen Doppelt, Stanley Tenen, Paul Moskowitz, Bill McShane, Rita and Perry Kravitz. Is there any other names? So we also have baby James Edward, Paul Markowitz, Elliot Woofsey, Joan Lifshitz, and Nancy Kelly. Stan.
John Carfisi.
Mary Lou, do I see?
Yes, Ron Cricky, Laura Cricky, Susan and Tony Vi, Zizi Potsdam, Brenda McBasey, Brenda Katroser, Eve Heyman, and Art Torres and his family. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to unmute and share a name? So we'll continue holding all of those folks we named in our hearts and everyone in need of healing at this time. Misha Berach. Misheberach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. So, friends, we are currently in the book of Deuteronomy, and this week we read from Parshat Re'eh. Re'eh means sea. So the Torah portion opens this week. Behold, or see, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if you obey the commandments of God, and a curse if you do not obey the commandments of God. So friends, we're setting the people of Israel up this week to have somewhat of a choice. Blessing or curse, good or bad, and what is this contingent on? Well, of course, it's contingent on, are you going to listen to God's commandments? We're just in the middle of getting all of our commandments. Or are you going to go astray in whatever way, idol worship we particularly don't like? In the period of the ancient Israelites, this idea of free will was not to be taken for granted, right? In our world, we know that there are some things we have control of. But for the ancient Israelites, they were scared of a world that lied beyond their control. Their whole lives up to this point, they have been in service of or in service to another group. Think about it. The Israelites born into Egypt, into slavery, then wandering in the desert. God says nobody that experienced slavery can actually go to the promised land. We want everyone to have a clean slate, a new start. That's why the people had to wander so long, because nobody that experienced the hardship of slavery should go into this new land with a dark cloud. So here the Israelites are. Up to this point, they've had everything given to them. Think about their lives and their subsistence in the desert. They had manna. Every day they woke up and there was sustenance. They had a well that followed them around that continued to fill. They didn't have to do anything to make it happen, and they already had their basic needs of sustenance, of food and water taken care of. And now in this week's Parsha, God says through Moses, who's speaking to the people, when you get to this land, you're going to be able to eat meat. You're going to be able to list all of the things that the people can partake in and all of the things that the people can't partake in, unkosher meat. Blessing or curse, choose the kosher meat. You can have more blessings. You can keep being full. Don't choose the unkosher animals. That'll bring about some curses. But really, God is setting a whole new precedent of existence for the Israelite people. They've never had to sustain themselves. They've never had to search for food. They've never had to cook their own meals. They've just had manna forever. This is one of the things that they complained about in the desert. First, they were scared. Well, the Egyptians, they fed us fish, they fed us delicious olives and things that grew in the Fertile Crescent. And now we're in the desert. What are we going to do? But then God provides water and manna ever flowing. But now the Israelites are set on the precipice of a land where not only is it going to be flowing with milk and honey, a good thing to be sure, but this is a land that signifies a whole new reality for the people. For the first time, they truly have to fend for themselves. So they're told, hey, we've set you up with a list of rules, commandments. If you live by these commandments that Moses has been telling you for all of these months and years, then you're going to do great. But you have to just trust in that system. But the Israelites, no doubt, are reticent. So Maimonides, or the Rambam, was a champion of this idea of free will, one of our great medieval commentators. And he said, within the discussion of free will, he actually tied it to tshuva, or repentance. And Maimonides said that tshuva is the boldest implementation of human free will and would be inconceivable without unqualified belief in absolute free will. This is the season of human free will. So friends, we are in the season where we're starting to talk all about tshuva. Tshuva, this act of repentance, of turning. We're soon to enter our month of Elul. We have just weeks till the high holidays. As a rabbi, we're not allowed to say how many weeks in front of me right now, but it's coming. The high holidays are coming. And we are in this time where we start to think about tshuva. We take an account of where are we in our own life? What has been going on? Have we turned away from any sources of blessing? Have we turned towards any sources of curses or badness? How do we want to shift our lives in the next month in order to face the high holidays, to face a clean slate? So Maimonides says that tshuva, this process of repentance, taking an accounting of ourselves and being accountable to others in our lives, that this is something that couldn't exist without free will. That if God was just telling us, do this or do that, it wouldn't have meaning. That really where tshuva becomes important is because we are following our own impetus to try to be better. We're not just doing something or not doing something, but we actually have to do work to search our souls and to take an account. And it's not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be just a, yes, I'll do this. No, I won't. It's work. And so we have to actively choose to engage with that work. Whenever we read Parshat Re'eh, this book, with this announcement that here we have a challenge, an imperative to act upon our free will, I don't think it's a coincidence that this parsha always comes just before Elul. Our month of Elul is going to be starting in a few days, and this is the time of personal transformation. Now, we know that we have had the experience of being Israelites. We've been in the desert. This is an analogy that is just gonna keep going, my friends. It comes back and back, but it's so relevant. We've been in the desert, and now we have a chance to make a choice. We choose, where are we going to turn? What is our process of tshuva this year going to look like? Have we had things easy, blessings? Have we had abundant food and water and sustenance? Have we had curses? What are the curses that we've experienced? If we're caught up in those curses, how can we balance that out by acknowledging the blessings of just the basic living of life? I think Linda, when she talked about what are we grateful for, said, grateful to not have had COVID so far, to just be healthy. It can be a very hard thing to acknowledge the good, the blessings in the midst of a period of curses. Think about it. The Israelites in the desert, they got manna, and what did they do? They complained. They got a source for water. God tells Moses that you can make water come from this rock. The people get into a quarrel again. And so then Moses is therefore punished because he lashes out. In the period of curses, there are always blessings. And in the period of blessings, there are always curses. I kind of think that this is a glass half full or empty type of a situation. Anytime in life, there is always good and bad. We are constantly wavering in between it. And the question is, how do we see the glass? Is it filled with blessings or is it filled with curses? What is our glass? The rabbis taught that within every single person, there is a Yetzer Hara, an inclination for bad, and a Yetzer HaTov, an inclination for good. And that if we did not have both of these acting in us at the same time, that we would cease to exist. If we didn't have the Yetzer Hara, or good inclination, then we would just be wild animals, our id running, just fulfilling basic instincts. But if we only had the Yetzer HaTov, only our inclination for good, then we wouldn't accomplish anything. We wouldn't fulfill those base needs. We wouldn't feed ourselves. We wouldn't reproduce. We wouldn't be with other people. We would just be in a state of stasis. We need them both. We know that blessings and curses are in front of us. Re'eh, look at it, observe it. What is most present in your life right now? As we move with just a month up to our High Holy Season, going into Elul, how can we start our own process of tshuva? What are the things in our own life that we need to examine more? What curses do we need to turn away from, and what blessings do we need to turn towards? Tshuva is all about this turning. There's a story in the Zohar that says, in the mystical, Jewish mystical text, that says every Elul, our month that we're getting ready to start, we stand back to back with the divine. That on the high holidays, we turn face to face. And every year as the high holidays kind of go away, we spread, we get further back to back. And so right in this period of time is when things are often the hardest, when maybe we see the curses overweighing the blessings. But through this act of tshuva, of literally turning, of facing what is going on in our lives, that we prepare ourselves to stand on Rosh Hashanah face to face with the divine. So my friends, I hope that you can find inspiration to start your own process of tshuva, to identify what are the sources of blessing and curse in your own life, and how. Later on in Deuteronomy, we're told when blessing and curse, good and bad, is set in front of you, that we're to choose life. How can we choose life in this moment? How can we be more alive? May this Shabbat provide an opportunity for reflection, and may we carry that over in this next month up to our High Holy Day season. Ken Yehi Ratzon. So friends, we will continue rising if we're able, joining together for our Aleinu L'Shabeach. Aleinu L'Shabeach L'Adon HaKol, L'Teit Gedula Yotzer Breshit, Shehu Notei Shamayim V'Yoser Aretz, U'Moshav Yikaro V'Shamayim Mimah, U'Shechina Tuzo V'Gochen Eramim, Hu Eloheinu Ein Od, Ve'anachnu Korim U'Mishtachavim U'Modim Lifnei Melech Malchei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ve'nemor Ve'haya Adonai Lemelech Al Kol Haaretz, Vayom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad, U'Shemo Echad. Can be seated. going to share our yard site list as we come to the portion of our service where we think of those no longer with us, loved ones whom we've lost in recent days, and loved ones who we've lost in the last season or in the last year observing their yard sites, the anniversaries of their passing. Today, our Beshert community is lovingly remembering Masha Beckerowicz, Hattie Benenson, Juliet H. Bennett, Dr. Harry W. Bergman, David Bernstein, Arnold Biederman, Lillian Blumenthal, Louis Broad, Beatrice Brown, Bella Cohn, Pauline and Leonard Coleman, David Danto, Gloria Dorfman, Max Eliasberg, Minnie Fox, Abraham Frankel, Selena Goldsmith, Helen Gomshay, Samuel Goodman, Ephraim Lewis Gotthelf, Anna Gottlieb, Minerva Grossman, Kate Hamilton, Adele Jacobs, Lorraine Jacobs, Carl Jacobson, Lorraine Jacobson, Sarah Jacoby, Celia Carmen, Tobias Cass, Ethel Kirschenbaum, Gladys Kirchick, Hannah Klein, Lena Cohan, Ilse Korkis, Nathan Krieger, Sarah Lazar, Aaron Liebensfeld, Regina Lerner, Suzanne Ruth Levy, Harry Mannheimer, Franny Mannheimer, Claire Marcus, Blanche Mate, Melanie Minzesheimer, Yehoshua Najman, Beatrice Hevesh Orlo, Martin Peters, Harry A. Rubinowitz, Max Rosenberg, Louis Saphir, Joseph Schulter, Bertha Schwartz, Irving Seltzer, Selma Celia Sheldon, Julius Solash, Benjamin Solomon, Olga Sonnenschein, Dorothy P. Soren, Rosa Stauber, Ray Tishman, Cecilia Vagan, Hindi Wine, Jeanette Zero, Yetta Zolash, and Nat Zuckerman. We also are observing the yard sites of these people. Masha Beckerowicz, sister-in-law of Rosalind Bialer, Lillian Blumenthal, mother of Jocelyn Joseph, Regina Lerner, sister of Manny Arnowitz, Blanche Mate, aunt of Sarah West, Yehoshua Najman, uncle of Tamara Kerner, Michaela Kane Schaefer, wife of Henry Schaefer, and Jeanette Zero, aunt of Alan Zero. For those who shared names in our chats, we think of Marilyn Roth, Minerva Horn, and also on Sunday, the yard site of Linda Kushner's beloved husband, Joel Kushner, 24 years ago. I'll also invite those on Zoom to read names. Robert.
Rabbi, are you going to
Yes, Jay, I'm sorry, Jay and Ted Stalker. Thank you.
Great. Anyone else have any names to share aloud? Alan.
Alexander Musel, who is the infant son of my cousin and would have been the grandson of Jeanette Zaro.
Barry Strumpf?
We join together, Kaddish Yatom. I'll invite you to rise according to your custom. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, bi'alma divarach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayei zachol beit Israel, ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehe shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudisha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata b'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, v'amiran v'alma v'yimru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. May all of our loved ones' memories be for a blessing. For our closing song, we'll end with these final words of Kaddish. And if you want to sit down and be comfortable, great. If you want to stand up, however you feel best. now. Close your space now. They'll close your space now. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Just a moment of blessing for our community. We are taught in our book of Deuteronomy that we are a kingdom, Mamlechet Kohanim, a kingdom of priests, that we all have the power to bless. And so we recite these ancient words of blessing passed from generation to generation. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, may God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka, may God be kind and gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May you feel God's presence always. May you feel the presence of blessing always outweighing the curses. May you feel wholeness, completion, shalom, and shleimut. And may you feel peace. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'll invite folks